Hello freaks, I'm here doing my little Mass Movement 10 album list video for you. I'm Reno Gooch from Space Coke from Columbia, South Carolina, USA. Also promoting our new album L'Appel du Vide, which is out December 7th, 2018. Check it out on Mystery School Records and our Bandcamp. So, always pretty hard to make a list. And I figured what I'd do is, since I like so many types of music, I would just do 10 records that really influenced me as a musician. So number one, all-time favorite, can't beat this, Band of Gypsys, live at the Fillmore East, January 1st, 1970. That band, you know, I love Jimi Hendrix, everything about him, everything he did, but nothing beats that band with Buddy Miles and Billy Cox backing him up. Buddy Miles like drumming and singing, man, he plays the drums like a sledgehammer. It's heavy, you know, and I love that sound. I like it more than the jazz sound of the Experience's drummer. And Machine Gun, all-time greatest song ever recorded possibly. Just the most amazing guitar playing and backup you could possibly think of. Emotion and everything. Moving on, I'm going to go to something that I always had as a cassette version, and to me is one of the greatest freaky albums of all time. That's the Butthole Surfers Double Live. All live from their greatest albums, the early albums, the weirder albums. And I actually have one of my cassette copies of it right here. One of the weirdest album covers ever too. See that? Check this out. Whoa, Butthole Surfers Double Live. And I got this copy. I haven't opened it because the serial number is 1. Not sure if that's totally correct, but I'm scared to open it. Anyway, next up, another obvious classic, Black Sabbath Volume 4. It was their first album that was self-produced. Iommi produced it mainly. And I think that's the key to why I like that album so much. The sound is just different. It's before kind of during, while drugs were kind of ruining them. And they're going for a more experimental sound. And something about the sound of that album just has always got under my skin. And it's one of the albums I got from my father as a kid. So I listened to it very early. In 7th grade, my band played Supernaut live in front of the whole school. One of the best songs ever. So moving on, I'm going to go to another one that I had as a cassette release that I thought was cassette only. I'm not really sure about that. But it's actually Motorhead's first recorded album with their original lineup on Parole. Apparently this is their first album, but it got a shelf, so it didn't get released till 4th. And I don't think they really, record company or the band at that point, you know, they'd already put out their first couple, maybe all 3 of the, you know, their best lineup, the powerfulest trio they ever were albums. So this, I think, seemed kind of weak after that. But to me, there's a sound on it that can't be beat. It's like Volume 4. There's just, it's kind of this dark rock and roll. And one of my favorite things is on the song Iron Horse, there's this little lead guitar that isn't in any other version, and it really gets under my skin. Just that little lead lick like makes the whole album. And I love the version, their cover of Leaving Here, Filthy Animal, overdubbed the original drummer. I think they switched 2 drummers before this, but he overdubbed all but one song because he was in jail during that session. But on Leaving Here, the ending, the drum fill, it's another one of my favorite little things. Just those little things that get under your skin when you're a musician. Moving on, another one of my all-time favorite albums, Mothers of Invention, Freak Out. That band's first album. And that to me is just, the sound of it is the most perfect, you know, that has that 60s freak vibe. Plus the oddness of Zappa moving in and making the band do his material instead of covers. And then that whole B-side where they just rented $500 of percussion instruments and freaked out. Amazing album. Next up, as far as a player, one of my most influential albums, this is Helios Creed, Last Laugh. I love all his stuff. I love Chrome, his stuff with Damon Edge. When Helios Creed does his solo stuff, this album in particular is the one that really has always been my favorite. The sound of it. I got to see him on tour with it, and they played just like the album. It was insane. And another thing I like about Helios Creed is how he, a lot of what I've read from the people that played on these sessions for these albums is he kind of come in and make the album up as he went in the studio, but he just nailed all that psychedelic sound. And I love the heavy vocal effects, the crazy guitar effects. To me it's just true alien music. Speaking of that, my next album is Funkadelic, Let's Take It to the Stage. Live, Funkadelic can't be beat, especially in the glory days. This has Eddie Hazel, my hero, Bootsy Collins, one of my biggest heroes, Bernie Worrell. There's so many players on this that are so heavy, and it's just this acid-drenched funk rock that cannot be beat. Next album, Einstürzende Neubauten, Strategies Against Architecture 2. There's a bunch of these, but 2 is my favorite, and my favorite song on the album is actually fairly traditional compared to their masterful industrial sound and playing. Is they do a cover of Sand, which is just Nancy Sinatra's song, but it's straightforward, but man, I love that song. Next up, Los Fabulosos Cadillacs. I love this band. I love everything they do, but I picked Fabulosos Calavera. I picked that in particular because it's a dark, very unique album that mixes so many styles, and you have to listen to it. Death metal mixed with surf. It's insane. Check it out for sure. Last up, another, of course, favorite album. It's on my little top 10 list here. The Baby Huey Story, Living Legend. And this is just to me the rawest, best soul album. And apparently, it's Living Legend because he passed away without releasing anything. The only album he had released. And people picked it up. Curtis Mayfield, another guy, picked it up, and they put players on it, handpicked, and they kind of redid it until they had a whole album. But in particular, listen to his cover of Sam Cooke's "The Change Is Gonna Come," because one of the most wild, out there, perfect songs ever put on an album. Anyway, check out all these albums. Hope you liked them. Hope you liked the video. Reno Gooch from Space Coke. Happy New Year.